Hello and welcome to the Super Professor podcast. You're listening to Clemons Kunkel, AKA Super Professor, and today we're interviewing myself. I actually have a book coming out called 3 Steps to Self-Help, Dissipating Fear, Anxiety, and Nightmares. I don't know how many people out there are trying to get a book out. It's a little bit of work. I actually use a company called Publish and Profit. They are absolutely unbelievable on the information they give you on how to market your book, what you should be doing, and step A to Z to getting it done. I'm really pleased with them. Now, if you are doing a book or you're planning on doing a book, or if you have a product that you want to get out, you got to start now on marketing yourself. Believe it or not, I've been working on my book for a couple of years. It's a science book. The first one is Keys to Unlocking the Universe. You can actually find me on, you can find me pretty much anywhere. I'm on SoundCloud as the Super Professor. I'm on Instagram as the Super Professor. Now I'm on Buzzsprout as Super Professor Podcast. And I actually have e-paper on the net as a Super Professor. I got a Google account, YouTube account, Facebook account, which is all underneath Clemons Kunkel. So you can find me anywhere. And then a website, Keys to Unlocking the Universe. And believe it or not, I got a Twitter account called Keys to Unlocking. I started doing this a few years back. Now you gotta understand, I have no product as of yet, but putting stuff out, talking, pictures, just getting yourself out there so you're not a nobody when your product comes out. That's very important. You've got to be able to show the world that you exist and that you know what you're doing. Now, with my self-help book, I've been to Tony Robbins seminars. I love Tony. And then I've been to Brendon Burchard's. His videos and marketing is unbelievable. So if anybody's out there trying to improve themselves, market yourself, those are 3 people: Brendon Burchard, Tony Robbins, Publish and Profit. Those are 3 things you should be watching their videos and following them and go to a seminar. But anyway, okay, let's get back to my book. Okay, now the book is, like I said, self-help. And now I work in construction, and a little bit of my background is pretty much most of my life I've been in construction. Then my father, he was military, strict, regimental. He never backed down. I was raised a little different. My father was undercover narcotics agent, game warden, and in the Marine Corps he was those. And then when he got out of the military, he became a cop in Mount Sterling, Illinois. Now, I don't know about you people, but I was raised around guns my entire life. My sisters, my brothers. I come from a big family, and when you come from a big family, you got a lot of support, and some people don't have that. But you got to push yourself. If you don't have a support like I had, just push yourself and just get your product out. Now, the reason I'm doing the self-help book is when I was 16. Now remember, my father was very, very strong. I wasn't supposed to be afraid of anything. Now, when I was 16 years old, we're going to back up in time, I was outside mowing the yard. I know most people don't do that anymore. Most people don't even know what a push mower is. It's like riding a lawnmower or you hire somebody. But in the old days, we had a push mower. And, when you're using a push mower, you kind of get zoned. That thing's making all the noise and you're just walking right along and not paying any attention. You're just like in La La Land. And then all of a sudden, I'm like mowing, and all of a sudden, there's like this massive, I don't know how to describe it. Something was hitting me is the best word to say, because my brain wasn't caught up with everything at that time. And I remember it was coming from my feet. I had this rush coming from my feet, and I moved the lawnmower forward, and it was still running, and I moved it forward, and I kind of looked down, and I'm looking closer. It's like, what's going on? And I see my socks, and my socks are yellow. I'm like, I didn't put on yellow socks. I'm like, what the? So I moved the lawnmower further. I remember holding it with one hand and leaning over, and the yellow is moving. It was yellow jackets. I had mowed over a yellow jacket's nest. I don't know about you guys, but when you get stung by yellow jackets or any kind of bee, it wakes you up. Well, my problem was I was like zoned. I got stung all over my ankles. I took off a screaming and a yelling, just, like I was dying. And my mom happened to be outside watering the yard, not the yard, but the garden that we had. She seen me screaming, hopping, smacking my legs. I was running as fast as I could and playing hopscotch at the same time. It was not an easy trick to do. And I'm smacking, and they're stinging, and my mom sprayed me down with the hose, and oh man, let me tell you, it was not a good time for me when I was 16. So what ended up happening was my legs actually swelled up. My mom, she got tweezers out. Now, yellow jackets, when they sting you, sometimes they pull their stinger out. It really kills them. It's like they die. But I had yellow all over my socks. It wasn't moving anymore, but was not a good time. Now, here's the problem with what happened with me is that, you're supposed to face your fear and, never back down. Well, at 16, you can't go to anybody and tell them like, oh, hey, I got this problem. Every time I see a bee, I have my heart races. I have this rush from my foot, and then it comes up to my heart and it just starts beating like crazy. It's just anxiety and just fear. It's like, there's no way to get rid of it. So, I was constantly trying to overcome that fear and remove that fear. And I just couldn't get rid of it. Now, I work in construction. That fear almost got me killed. I could be 2 stories, 4 stories up on a ladder, like 4 stories on a ladder, but on a pump jacks or, just way high up on a 12 pitch hip roof. And it was just dangerous. A bee would come over and I would move and jump and my heart would start pounding. And then the rush was, I would see one bee and I would have it rush from the bottom of my feet all the way up to my heart and just start pounding. Now, here's the thing. I can't kill the bee. You know why? Because that's not facing my fear. That's killing my fear. The bees still exist. I had to learn how to relax myself, overcome the fear. But guess what? I had that fear from 16 till like 32 or 4 when I went to a Tony Robbins seminar. And the reason I went to the seminar is my sister Leona gave me a CD, and she goes, Clem, you like seminars. Here's a CD. I think you'll like it. And that one CD was on how to overcome fear. I'll never forget it. I'm like, no, it can't be that easy. Well, I did what the man said, and that was Tony Robbins. I did what he said. And how do you test that what he's telling you works? It's like, when you're going to go to a beehive, you got to find a bee, But I work in construction. I'm like, sooner or later, I'm going to run into a bee. Guess what? I'm outside working. I haven't been to a seminar yet. I just listened to a CD. I'm outside working, and all of a sudden, I'm siding the house. I can tell you, I'm siding the side of a house of a friend of mine, and the garage side, and a wasp lands on my left hand. I'm like, oh. And I brush it away, thought nothing of it, and started to nail. I'm like, oh my gosh, no rush from the feet, no pounding of the heart, nothing. Everything was calm. It just was gone. I'm like, wow. Okay, I'm going to a seminar, and I've been going to Tony's seminars and studying ever since then. And that one seminar that I went to was for 2 days, 2.5 days. It was unbelievable. I realized I didn't know anything about anything after I come out of there. I'm like, wow. So the reason I went, like I said, is because I wanted to get rid of the fear. And that CD helped me get rid of the fear, and I've been studying ever since. So that's the reason I'm doing the book, is that maybe you've been in a situation where you've had a traumatic experience and you're stuck with it your entire life and you have no idea how to get rid of it. And, then the other thing is, too, I also have what's in there is dissipating fear, anxiety, and nightmares in my book. So that's one small story, but then the nightmare stories is actually a technique that I taught myself when I was young. So in my book, I explain how to overcome nightmares. And a lot of people have nightmares where they have it their entire life. They're afraid. They wake up with hot sweats, cold sweat. And see, I've never, ever had that. Since I was like 12 years old, I learned to overcome that fear. And it's a simple technique, and I teach it in the book. So that's the reason I'm doing my book. I'm doing a self-help book, and I want to help people. And I'm actually doing my science book, and my science book is Keys to Unlocking the Universe, and I want it comes right out after my self-help book, and it's a new theory of mine. So I'm called the super professor, but I'm not a professor. I'm a construction person. I work in construction, but maybe I'm a little kind of super because if you watch my videos, and some of you have been to my seminars, you know that I break block with my bare hands. So it's also on the video. So that kind of makes me a little super, and then I can't fly. Well, I can fly. I've flown planes when I was 21. Chip Wilson taught me to fly. So the reason I use the name super professor is because hardly anybody can remember the name Clemons Kunkel. It's hard time spelling it, hard time remembering. And if you're going to market yourself, you need something that will stick with people, easy to remember, and they can connect with you. But here's the other thing, too, is I like being the super professor. The reason I actually stuck with that name is a friend of mine, Alex, went to one of my seminars where I actually broke block and talked about my book and everything. And when we got done, he goes, Clem, you're kind of like the super professor. And I'm like, what? Why do you say that? He goes, well, you go around breaking block. You got your new book coming out, your new theory. So therefore, you're the super professor. And I kind of like that, and it stuck with me. And ever since then, I've used that, So it wasn't me coming up with the idea, it was somebody else, and I just kind of went with it and ran with it. And so you can find me on SoundCloud, listen to a couple of audio files there and everything. And I do hope that you will buy my book, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And I'm going to have Blaze back too. If you were listening to the other ones, Blaze will be on, and I have a couple other people that we're going to be interviewing very soon. Hopefully next week we'll have more people on, and hope to hear from you. And check me out on YouTube. Watch me break block. Oh, yes, and by the way, I just put up a YouTube video where I break beer bottle with my bare hand. A bottle where you smack it with your hand, and I also break a wine bottle. So that kind of makes me a little super. I'm not quite super, but I did go skydiving. I don't know if you guys consider that. I can fly one direction straight down. Haven't learned to go up yet. Well, actually, I do. I do that in the plane, so I got both directions figured out. So anyway, it was a pleasure talking to you guys, and I hope to hear from you soon. And please follow me and subscribe and share. That'd be awesome. So talk to you later. Have a good one.